He's had a fantastic game for Kilkenny sitting in the middle of the field.
And that free count starting to hurt Tipperary now. 10 points for Larkin, 9 from frees. The 3-point cushion restored again. And the All-Ireland champions, with 11.5 minutes to go, have taken control of this Phase 2 qualifier. And we're about to find out what this Tip team are made of. Pádraig Maher driving onto that ball. Walter Welch giving chase. Inside to Woodlock. Good close control. Again, his first instinct is to run at the goal, but he finds his path blocked by 2 Kilkenny men. And in the end, they had so many bodies back there. They inevitably had to win that ball. And it's cleared away defiantly by J.J. Delaney. Touched on by Fogarty to Richie Power. Power lets fly from under the stand. Well, had that gone over, it would have lifted the roof off the stand. 11 minutes to go. Kieran McSweeney has the biggest news of the day. Well, we're just struggling to establish communication with the sideline, but Henry Shefflin has taken off his tracksuit and has inched a little closer to coming into this match. It looks like he could be arriving any moment now. Meanwhile, a chance at the other end for Tip to eat into the deficit. But a poor effort by Noel McGrath, and that's their 8th wide.
Yeah, he was a bit casual with it, didn't realise that I think it was Matthew Root had followed him, was in with the hook, and just that little half hook was enough to ensure that ball sailed harmlessly wide.
Let's hear now from Kieran McSweeney.
Well, Mike, you were talking there a while ago about Richie Power's effort. It would have lifted the roof off the stadium. Well, certainly when Henry Shefflin makes his entrance, that will happen. He was sent for from the seats. He was sitting up at the subs. He was sent for. He's been down along the sideline. He's ready to go. He's still warming up down the corner at the moment. And Henry Shefflin may be about to make his entrance as Tip score another point.
Yeah, good score by Kieran Bergen, and they've shoved him up the field to try and, I suppose, curb the influence of Brian Hogan. He's operating as centre forward now, and you know, pumping the air after taking that ball down and converting it, and a good score from Bergen.
But Kieran Bergen, the most unlikely of scorers, but Tip will take anything that's going now. Less than 10 minutes to go. 2 points between the sides. Ball won over there by Garrod Ryan, an important interception. Feeds it back to Paddy Stapleton. No way through. Richie Power blocking his path, and Kilkenny have won the ball back. Serious pressure being applied there. This is Larkin. Now he looks to be full of running. Owen Larkin tossing it down towards that goal nonchalantly, and he was just whiskers away from extending the Kilkenny lead.
Yeah, and Walter Walsh, you know, he was visibly unhappy with him for not throwing that ball out to him. He could have drawn in Pádraig Maher, but elected to go himself, and under pressure put it wide. And Walsh expressing his dissatisfaction with him.
An inspirational take by Tommy Welch from Tullaroan. Lays it off short to Richie Power. Outside to Walter Welch. Running right at Pádraig Maher. But he fouled the ball. Well spotted by Brian Gavin. Walter Welch just trying to head for that crossbar, but just under too much pressure, and the chance is gone.
Yeah, Bogan, they're standing directly at the edge of the square. Two of the best fielders in the game.
Well, he's a 6-time All-Ireland Puck Father champion. He belts this down towards that Kilkenny goal. Dangerous ball, but Brian Hogan once more steady and solid, gets it away. And another scrap for possession in the middle of the field. One back by Brendan Maher. Lays it off to Noel McGrath. Pumps it in long. But that Kilkenny full back line have found their feet in this second half, and Jackie Tyrrell, with that uncompromising style of his, gets it away. Larkin, who has worked like a Trojan, back to Tommy Welsh, and that's a line ball to Kilkenny. But Tipperary getting no joy in the last 5-10 minutes in particular out of that direct approach.
Yeah, I mean, aerially, Jackie Tyrrell, Brian Hogan, we've seen Kieran Joyce earlier in this half, and obviously Tommy Walsh, you know, plucking balls out of the sky like throwing apples into an orchard. So no no return whatsoever from anything high in around the Tipperary goal, or in around the Kilkenny goal. Callanan now is in at the edge of the square on Paul Murphy, as Bergen is the centre forward. So Tip still trying to find a way to unlock this Kilkenny defence, but you know, looking like they may need a goal.
Tipperary making a change. Number 23, Brian O'Mara, is in to replace Owen Kelly. Eamon O'Shea now trying everything to try and get that full forward line moving. That's his 5th and final change of this match. He has no more cards left to play as Tip give chase. John O'Dwyer's intended pass, half blocked down, intercepted by Lester Ryan. Kieran Joyce knocking it down this right-hand side. Pádraig Marr clearing it back with some interest for Tipperary. But at this stage, both forward lines have lost their shape. Everybody is just doing what's needed, putting their shoulders to the wheel. Mickey Cahill runs into a good solid shoulder from Lester Ryan. Linesman on the far side has given that to Tipperary. 5.5 minutes to go. Kilkenny, the All-Ireland champions, 2 points in front. And here he comes. In this part of the world, they call him King Henry. And just listen to that roar. He hasn't hurled for Kilkenny since last September. He hasn't hurled at all since last December. And he's in with 5 minutes to go to try and push Kilkenny across the line and into the next round of the championship.
Yeah, it's a nice ace to have to play, but you know, Tip Nolan McGrath, surely an opportunity here. Is it John O'Dwyer? Actually, James Woodlock. Yeah, that's a great score from Woodlock. And you know, Tip have, you wouldn't say they've hurled particularly well, Mike, but there's still only a point between the sides, and credit to them for hanging in there. And Woodlock in particular has had a massive game in the middle of the field for them.
Well, he's got a tremendous engine. That's his first point of the match. And extra time is surely looming large here at Nolan Park. Ball breaks. Won by Richie Hogan. He's been tackled high by Paddy Stapleton. Now, Paddy Stapleton could be in trouble here. And it's a card for Stapleton. Very high challenge.
Yeah, I felt this was that he had to maybe concede the free. You know, Richie Hogan was always going to beat him to it, and there was somebody else inside, so played the percentages. But you know, there's an easy opportunity now for Owen Larkin. He won't take any. He won't be in any great hurry to make his way towards this free. Henry's taken up position and wing forward, and Kilkenny now with an opportunity to stretch the lead to 2 again.
So 4 yellows for Tipperary, and a chance for Owen Larkin to knock over his 11th point of the evening and edge Kilkenny just a little bit further in front. No doubt about that one. And a crowd of almost 24,000 people, absolutely captivated. This match is going right to the wire. Brian Hogan clears it away, taken down by Noel McGrath. No time for messing, he's gone for his score, and that's another wide.
He has, and in terms of, you know, Owen Larkin's contribution, Mike, he's been absolutely outstanding all evening. You know, he's my man of the match tonight. I think, you know, 11 points, but he's contributed hugely from general play as well, and you know, massive game for Kilkenny when they needed him most.
So a little under 3 minutes of normal time to play, and Kilkenny just keeping Tipperary at arm's length as Larkin drives onto this, lays it off to Taggy Fogarty, shortens the grip, gets the shot in. Maybe, just maybe, as good as a score, but it's the 11th wide, and Brian Cody, the most successful manager of this era, or indeed any era, is pacing the line constantly now. This has been a titanic struggle. Henry Shefflin, first touch, it's coming into the match. Stretching his legs, getting away from the Tip sub. That's Garrod Ryan. Shot from the far side by Richie Power. And the roar of the crowd will tell you all you need to know. 2 points for Power. Kilkenny 3 points clear. And it's a long way back for Tipperary now.
It is, and it's still only a goal between them, but it's very, very hard to see where it's coming from, and a telling contribution by Henry. I mean, again, showed his strength, his touch, and Kieran Joyce, again, another ball won in the Kilkenny half-back line. I mean, they've been totally dominant in the second half.
Joyce, excellent in the air as always, setting Kilkenny away. This is Colin Fennelly, there's a man inside, roaring for it. Fennelly just can't get it under control. He's going to do all the hard work. Fennelly shoots, and Fennelly scores. They're kicking for home. Kilkenny lead by 4. That's a first of the night for Colin Fennelly from Ballyhale Shamrocks, the Kilkenny captain, and it may be just the insurance score.
Yeah, and glorious goal opportunity. I mean, never saw that he had someone inside. I think it was Taggy Fogarty was all on his own, but you know, 4 points, that should be the insurance score, and you have to credit the resilience of this team. I mean, you know, they've just been you know, up for the battle tonight, and what a performance.
We're going to have at least 1 minute of additional time at the end of this game. Jamesy, just to confirm, Owen Larkin, your selection for man of the match.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding. As I said, you know, he's a player that's, you know, what has he given to Kilkenny over the last decade? I mean, you know, former hurler of the year, man of the match in massive games to them, and you know, how many times have we seen him, you know, running at defences, either creating goal opportunities or converting them himself. And you know, obviously in Fennelly's absence, they decided they need a presence in the middle of the field, particularly with Brendan Maher there for Tipperary. And I thought he contributed hugely from general play, and particularly in the second half as well. A lot of pressure frees, and deservedly a recipient of that award, I think, tonight. Great score from John O'Dwyer again, and that's an outstanding score. And I mean, you know, we're into stoppage time, but there's still life for Tipperary. That brings the deficit back to 3 points. Can they manufacture a goal?
Well, no doubt about it. They need a goal now to stay in the championship. Of course, the record Tipperary goal scorer of all time, Lar Corbett, who hit the net in the first half, out of the match. They need somebody now to stand up and grab a goal that would send this match to extra time. Here they come. Mickey Cahill driving forward from corner back. Possession absolutely crucial. Garrod Ryan drives it in. He was looking for Buggy O'Mara, but that is a real missed opportunity. Kilkenny are almost there, and some of the Tipperary crowd have seen enough, it would seem.
Yeah, Mickey Cahill really needed to, you know, launch that ball into the Kilkenny square, but he didn't do it. Overhit the pass, and Brian Gavin, I'd imagine, about to blow the final whistle, and it's all over.
So Kilkenny are the last men standing once again. The All-Ireland champions live to fight another day after a match that kept more than 23,000 people captivated here in Kilkenny's own backyard. Tipperary summer over. Their championship journey is over. 2 games, 2 defeats for Eamon O'Shea's team, and they will have plenty of regrets to go with them. But it's Brian Cody, of course, the Lord of the Manor here at Nolan Park, who has masterminded his 5th championship win over Tipperary in 6 attempts during the last decade. And Kilkenny now set their sights on Waterford in the next round. What an occasion, what a game, what a team.
Was going wide from both sides, even frees that you'd expect to be going over the bar, but look, we're hugely relieved.
Indeed, Nicky, though, you have the disappointment as a Tipperary man, and you weren't happy throughout that second half at all.
No, it comes back to a similar pattern, you know, against Kilkenny again for Tipperary, where the Kilkenny defence totally dominated the second half. Brian Hogan completely took over, and it was interesting because just after half-time, Tipperary got a bit of a grip, got a couple of scores, started off, and then Owen Kelly had a goal chance which was blocked by JJ Delaney, and a couple of frees after that, and where they might have scored a goal in 2 and got a little bit of breathing space. You know, Kilkenny got back up. While they were missing chances, they were still getting a couple of key scores. You know, a couple of silly mistakes by Tipperary gifted them scores, and while there wasn't a lot in it, you never felt that Tipperary really were in a position to win it.
Yeah, Nicky, did you feel Tipperary were a bit lightweight and also maybe perhaps a little bit overwhelmed by the occasion and the desire of the Kilkenny team?
I thought, I suppose, I was frightened by the roar that greeted the Kilkenny team when they came out in the field, Matt. And I thought up to that the Tipperary really had a good chance, but I started to get a little bit nervous. And then during the first half, the momentum moved towards Kilkenny. This was a real last-stand effort by Kilkenny tonight. They really wanted it. Brian Cody was up for it, and thoroughly deserved success.
You know, to be fair about it, Tip brought everything they could to it. And it did, you're right, they did have a bit of a dominant period early in the second half. And we had said at half-time about Owen Kelly, he missed a straightforward free and then subsequently a 65. Then they missed a goal, and all of a sudden you felt at a time. But with the amount of ball Kilkenny forwards got, there was a time they used to burn teams off. So credit to Tip for staying as long as they did.
OK, I think it's time for us to go to the man of the match. Kieran McSweeney is talking to Owen Larkin.
Well, Owen, you needed a response, and you certainly got it out there today.
Yeah, I suppose we weren't happy with the way we played in the championship so far, so we spoke a lot about it during the week, and we knew there was a big performance in us. We knew we weren't dead. People kept writing us off, and as we've proved over the years, there's life left in the old dog yet.
Did that kind of talk affect you? Did it drive you on to prove people wrong?
It did in a small way, I'd say, but really the character and leadership in that dressing room is what spurred us on. You know, there's great hurlers in there, and even when Henry is injured, there's lads in there to step into the plate. Maybe things hadn't been going well for us for the past couple of weeks, but we knew if we kept going the way we were going, that there was a big performance in us, and thankfully we got out there today.
An electric atmosphere out there as well. How much did the crowd help you push you over the line?
Yeah, it was outstanding out there, I think. Packed house, and, you know, Kilkenny and Tipperary supporters, both of them together made it a great atmosphere, and I'm sure it was a wonderful game as well.
Things coming thick and fast. You'll have Waterford next weekend now.
Yeah, but sure, look, we're delighted to be still in the championship, you know, so we would have took any team, you know. Just getting over today really was the big thing, and we'll just have to knuckle down now and train for the next week, and hopefully we can get ourselves right again for next week.
Well, Owen, you are the man of the match from tonight's game, and here from Liberty Insurance to present the award is Judy Milan.
Absolutely drastic for both teams, and thanks be to God we're still alive there.
I didn't know if I was going to be coming in or not. I said it during the week. I was part of the panel, and you know, I suppose we had a lot of injuries, but we have a strong panel there, and I think that showed tonight, and you know, some brilliant performances, and it was a great occasion. It was a massive game for ourselves as well as Tipperary, and I'm just delighted we got the win tonight.
It's so sad for the game that one of the best teams around is out of the championship, I have to say.
Yeah, we're disappointed. You know, we spent 6 months, the players spent 6 months really working hard. But you know, there is a solid future in Tipperary. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of those players are still in their mid-20s, and okay, there's some under you know, over 30. But there's a lot of those players in their mid-20s. You know, we have a number of players ready to come on to that panel. So for Tip, it's a period of transition. You know, we've had 5 or 6 great years with contesting semi-finals and All-Ireland finals and being at the top. You know, we've got to now work our way back up again. But it's a challenge I think those players will relish.
If you ever wondered what hurling means to Kilkenny fans, you found out tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It means absolutely everything really, and that's it, and to the players and everybody concerned. It was fantastic. But I mean, you know, it's a sort of a celebratory kind of an occasion, but we're keenly aware that we're heading to play Waterford next Saturday night in the next round of the qualifiers, and that's just, we see that as a phenomenal challenge right now.
Well, all three of us were lucky enough to be there, and a couple of things that struck me, Liam. A, what a great venue for a crowd that size, but B, the atmosphere. I haven't experienced an atmosphere like that in years.
No, it was unbelievable. As you say, you'd have to witness it. The crowd, you know, just under 24,000 people there. But like when Tipperary came out, there was a reasonable roar when Tipperary came out. And I said, God, there's a good lot of people here from Tipperary. But my word, when Kilkenny came out in the field, the stands erupted. You know, it was like a coliseum in there. And you know, a cracking match. You know, level at half time, a point in it with 5 minutes to go. You know, could have went either way, but Kilkenny just about done enough in the finish.
All right, and you enjoyed it as an occasion as well, Donald, I know, particularly, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to be there. I think, you know, even the announcer before the game was teeing the game up perfectly, and I think, you know, I was in the stadium an hour and a half before the game, and I couldn't get over how many people were there when there was nothing to look at. It was absolutely fantastic.
All right. Now, in terms of the big moments, you felt there were 3 in particular.
Yeah, there were a number of big moments in the game, and like Liam said, you know, it was nip and tuck for a lot of the occasion, and the game could have went anywhere. James Woodlock, who was really good for Tipperary, you know, he's a great example in terms of a guy coming back from an injury. He had a serious injury a number of years ago, but he played this ball onto Owen Kelly, and if you look here, JJ Delaney, he's just coming into shot on the left-hand side here. This is commitment, not wanting a score to go against you, putting your body in the line, an example to anybody out there. But Eamon O'Shea knew that was a big moment, and from the resulting 65, unfortunately for Owen Kelly, he put that wide, and psychologically that was a big blow. Again, you see here Woodlock going through the middle, Jason Ford, who was coming on, making his debut. Unusual that most of the Kilkenny backs were outside him. He probably, you know, a lot of people were saying maybe he should have went for a point, but this was at a stage where the game was hanging in the balance. And again, look at all the Kilkenny defenders getting around him, and JJ Delaney again works the ball out. But what happened after this event, similar to the Owen Kelly miss where it went against Tipperary, Richie Hogan, what a pass this is. You know, the peripheral vision of this guy here to be able to pick out Walter Welch. It was a pleasure to see skill like that. Big point, big turnaround again, where there was an opportunity for Tipperary, turned into a score for Kilkenny. And the last one again, following a similar pattern, Brendan Cummins, there was 2 points in the game at this stage. Brendan Cummins makes a very good save. You know, it could have been something that drove Tipperary on, but instead, Kilkenny won possession from the puck out, win a free. Owen Larkin took his time over it, knew it was a big play. Now the game went to 3 points. They were all big turnarounds for me in the game.
All right, well, I suppose moving on from that, one element that occurred there was the Kilkenny defence, and you were really impressed with them, Liam.
Yeah, I was, especially in the second half. You know, it was, as I said, it was even Steven at half-time. But in the second half, they only conceded 8 points to Tipperary. They only gave Tipperary 2 scoreable frees, which they converted 1. But you could see here, you know, they got Brendan Maher out, the ball over the line. But you can see Brian Cody is actually applauding them because he knows they're after working really hard, even though the line ball is going against them. And when the line ball is taken, you know, it goes down into Paul Murphy's corner, snaps it out of the sky, and drives a long clearance. And, you know, I thought their aerial ability to win aerial possession was very, very strong again all through. And Brian Hogan again, you know, he was colossal, I thought, in centre half back position last night, you know. And all of those backs, whether it was coming down on top of Kieran Joyce, you know, wherever Brendan Cummins went with his puck outs, you know, there was someone. And here's Tommy Walsh, you know, Jason Ford on for his championship debut, out jumps him and sets up another attack and passes that ball on to Richie Power. And I thought they really built themselves a massive platform. And, you know, again, you know, with the crowd the way they were and the amount of people who were there for Kilkenny, you know, all of these big catches were huge moments in the match because it was like scoring a point, and you could see what it meant to Jackie Terry coming out along. But even you could see what it meant to Brian Cody and his management team after the game. You know, like they celebrated, like, you know, it was just a qualifier match, but you really got the sense that there was a lot of pressure on Kilkenny to perform in front of their own fans. And obviously they would have said maybe the end of an era if Tip had to manage to turn them over. But we were treated to a fantastic game, and they just got through in the finish.
The fans were kind of part of it, weren't they? That whole link between the fans and the team. But don't look to follow up on that and the aerial dominance. I mean, some people were saying, well, Tip, why were they hitting long balls down when Kilkenny were feeling so well? But you've looked at the puckouts, for instance.
Yeah, I looked at that. Leaving the stadium last night, there was about 4 people stopped me and they were on about puckouts. And Tip were under pressure with the puckouts, and partly because Owen Larkin was playing so deep, especially in the first half. And he won an incredible amount of balls in the right half-back position, you know. And time and time again, there was puckouts lost, but, you know, Kilkenny are so strong in that area of the field. Brendan Cummins did change it around. He went for a short puck out after losing the first 5. And the thing about going for a short puck out, even though it wasn't a mighty clearance, it changes the angle of attack and it can change the pattern. No, Tipperary did get lucky with that break, but that was what was needed to change the pattern of what was happening. Again, in the second half, Kilkenny dominating the puck outs. You know, this was happening commonplace, but you need your players out the field to help you. If you look at Brendan here, where's he going to hit the ball? You'd need a laser-guided missile to pick out some of the Tipperary players that were with him. You need movement, and it's a mistake that a lot of people make that it's all down to the goalkeeper. It's as important that the players out the field work with the keeper and give him the options. But again, this was a result Richie Hogan putting the ball over the bar. Now, a point that's worth making on that is that a lot of people talking about the Tipperary puckouts, they won 24%. That's not a good figure. But the backs on both sides were totally dominated. I looked at the Kilkenny puckouts and they only won 27%. So that tells its own tale.
So we're dominant. So credit to the Tip defence as well on that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, OK. Well, the loss of Lar Corbin was clearly a big factor because he started very well, Liam.
Yeah, he's a big player, a big game player for Tipperary. I mean, we've seen the importance of Lara over the last number of years, and he was having a really good start. I mean, he played in the league final down here, and it didn't go extremely well for him. He had 2 plays in the time he was on the field. But in the first 14 minutes last night, he had 4 very, very important plays, and you see him breaking onto the ball there and winning a good free. And he was just very, very busy. And he was on Paul Murphy, who was a real handful and was a contender for Hurler of the Year last year. But he was giving him serious problems, and here he is, you know, winning ball again, bursting through and winning a free. So that was 2 frees he won for his team in that period of the first 10 minutes, which is a vital period of the match. And obviously, you know, whatever, you know, as you said, Don Logue pointed out, maybe there is a bit of luck, but you know what? You have to be in the right place when that luck presents itself too. And Lara has a habit of being in that right place. And, you know, I just felt he was having a huge bearing on the game at a night maybe where Tip forwards were struggling. And obviously, we got a double blow here from a Tipperary perspective because, you know, when Lara got knocked over with the hamstring, the ball goes down the field, Tipper up a point at the time, Richie Hogan picks up the breaking ball and puts it over the bar. And you really got the sense it was a double blow at the time because losing Lara, and because he was having such an influence in the game, you know, Tipperary people are left wondering if he had to stay on the field, because it was a night really where the Tipperary forward line as a unit were struggling, but Lara was definitely on top of his game, and he was a massive loss for the team last night.
I was disappointed for him just that because he is one of our great players. I'm disappointed too that the big cheer that went up. I know it's only a tribal thing for the Kilkenny fans, but he's a fella who deserves a bit of a break because he's one of our great hurlers. But moving it back to Kilkenny down low, are they back as #1 now?
Yeah, who'd back against him now, Des? You know, I think that was a big test for him last night. They were coming in on the back of a defeat, you know, playing their great rivals at home. It's a big, big victory, and tomorrow morning Kilkenny will be back as favourites for the All-Ireland.
Some things never change, do they? Well, the other hurling qualifier was in